Hi there. So today I'm going to be out here digging off of one of my Annabelle hydrangeas, and this hydrangea is just getting massive. It's one of the first ones that I ever planted in my yard, so it's been in this spot for several years, probably going on 8 years. I think we built our house in 2016, I think, so yeah, so going on 8 years, 7-8 years, and it's massive. It gets like part sun, part shade, tons of moisture, and it has just done very, very well in this spot, and it's almost doing too well. It is overcrowding all of the plants that are around it. I've got 3 beautiful Palace purple heuchera that you can't even see anymore. So anyway, number 1, I need to get in there, clean it up, and split it up. Number 2, this is going to work out great because I want more Annabelles to put at the back of my gully along the edge there. I tested this out last year, about in August or so. I can't remember. It could have been earlier than August. I can't remember. I dug some Annabelles up, split them, and transplanted them, and the Annabelles came back great. They're even blooming in the full shade. It's like 100% shade, and they look gorgeous. So I was like, awesome. Let's do that some more and continue down the whole rest of the gully. So that's what we're going to be doing today. But I wanted to start up here because you guys see these? I don't know if you were with me when I had to trim these back in the spring, but I had found cane borer in there, cane borer damage. I didn't actually find the cane borer. I was trying to do a movie and show you guys how I prune back my little lime hydrangeas, these 3 hydrangeas right here, every year, so that they don't flop over. Well, anyway, I was out here in the middle of like trying to show you guys how I do that, and I discovered that they were just completely overtaken in my opinion with cane borer damage, and I had to hack these guys back so much. I have to be honest, I was like a little worried that they weren't gonna survive that hard of a trim, and they bounced back. I thought, okay, they're either not gonna survive that hard of a trim, or it's gonna take years for them to bounce back from that, or I'm not gonna get hardly any blooms this year. They're covered in buds and already starting to bloom. So I just can't believe that. It's very encouraging. So I wanted to show you guys a little update on how those are doing in case any of you were wondering. I don't know, maybe you don't remember. Yeah, so I came in here and they were just horrible. But the cool thing about these plants is, you know, they are very hardy. I mean, I knew they were hardy, but I didn't realize just how hardy they were. But basically this was down to like that stalk right here. And then the plant has a bunch of different nodes on the side of it. And so it literally shot all these out. These are brand new. And so if you follow that up, that has a bloom on it. These bloom on new wood. Okay, so right here, this is an old stalk. You can see it's been cut off right here. So from all the nodes that were here, it grew a new stalk. I'm gonna follow that all the way up. So this is new. Remember, it's blooming on new wood, okay? So this is the old stalk. This was a new node. This is just a tiny little shoot that was right here. It shot this stem up, and it's gonna bloom on this new chunk of wood. That's what that means. But anyway, I'm just really pleasantly surprised at how those are all doing. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool how the plants work. I always say, you know, the plants want to survive. It's not like they're in your garden like, I'm gonna die first chance I get. They want to survive. Like that's their only purpose in life, is to like grow and bloom and be a plant and just sit there and be a plant. And so, you know, it's crazy. It's really miraculous how they can just survive almost anything we put them through. But all right, so this is the massive, beautiful, but way overgrown Annabelle. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love how it hangs over the little retaining wall here. I love that. I think it's really neat. So I'm still kind of debating on whether or not I'm gonna let it continue to do that. If I let it continue to do that, I'm gonna have to move the Palace Purple Heuchera that are under here because they're just serving no purpose at that point. But what I for sure want to do is cut off of this section. I do not like at all how it's going into this Francis William Hosta, and I do not like how you can't see any mulch in between here. In certain parts of my gardens, I like to see mulch around my plants because I do have critters, and one of those critters being snakes. Not a ton of them, but just, you know, it's a great place for a snake to hide if you ask me. So I want to kind of deter that from happening. Now it is going to look like a crime scene over here. It's going to look like I belong on the Dateline channel. Lots of hacking and whacking going on, but the plants will be just fine. Let me take you over here and show you what we hacked and whacked at last year, and you would never know. You would have thought these plants have been in here for a couple years, and I bought them in a 1 gallon or 2 gallon pot. So right here, these 3 look the best. The same thing that happened to these is what I'm gonna do to that plant over there. I'm gonna hack it up and divide it. I also did that over here with these plants. So there's one, and then there's one back here that was the smallest one, and then there's one down there. I also have 3 more down there. If you're watching this and it's very hard for you to watch, let that be an encouragement that these plants do not mind a little hack job every once in a while. But all right, let's get in there and get to work. Another thing that I don't like about this area is the chipmunks have kind of taken over under here as well. And they do a lot of damage, even though they're like the cutest little thing you ever seen. They do so much damage to different things in your yard. Oh, these are so pretty. I don't really want to cut these off, but I'm gonna. These are actually at the point where I could dry them. So I might actually dry some of these and put them out by the road for my neighbors. We'll set those aside. And yeah, so I'll just keep going down like this, and oh, these are beautiful. Yeah, we'll for sure, let's dry some clumps. That'll be fun. We'll do that. But I'll keep doing this, and then after I cut a bunch of this off, we'll get in there, see what we're working with. We can be able to see it a little bit better, and I can take some chunks off of the root. That helped quite a bit, give my hosta a little bit of breathing room. And I already see lots of different shoots that I can dig up. Do you hear the chipmunks? They're squeaking at me. They are not happy about me getting into their little nest here. But, you know, it is what it is, buddy. Sorry. I'm gonna move away the mulch. And I did mulch pretty heavily in here, knowing that I would be doing this eventually. And I didn't want to leave like a big hole where there was no mulch, so I threw a bunch of it under here. Just put all this back. And then, okay, so I'm gonna show you something. So I'm gonna dig this plant up right here. There's another one right here, but they are attached by this little root / stem here. So I am gonna cut this in half, and then I'll have 2 plants. Right in here. And that should have done it. There we go. Now I'm just going to dig that up. Easy as that. And I've got a hydrangea plant right there. Now I think it might be connected over here, so we'll just dig those roots up carefully. And I am going to cut this off right here. It's just this long stem. We'll cut that. I'll get my pruners real quick. Give that a little bit of a chop. Because once I transplant these, there's no way it's going to be able to support all these blooms. So might as well just cut them off anyway. Right, so I'm just taking this up with, you know, a good amount of dirt, a good amount of the soil. And we will put it in the gator. Look at all that space I have now. You couldn't even hardly see this poor Stokesia. This plant is just a beautiful plant. I love it for its foliage, and you can see all this from here over was just covered by that hydrangea. So I'm gonna keep doing the same thing. I see one right there I could get, right there I could get, and even right up in there I could get. So far I have 5 plants in here. A couple of them are pretty small, but they've got significant roots on them and they'll do just fine. This one doesn't really have any leaves on it anymore, but all of these are like those nodes I was talking about where they will throw out a new shoot, and this one has tons of roots on it as well. So those are the smallest too, but I'll show you. Last time when I did this, I had a couple that were this small, and those are the ones that came back this year. They don't look as good as those ones because those ones had a bigger root ball on it, but these two right here, so that one and that one, were significantly smaller, like the ones that I just showed you. This Virginia creeper. Ugh. But yeah, they were significantly smaller and they did just fine. They're even blooming. Let's get those planted and in the ground. That way they're not exposed to any air or sunlight for any longer. And then we will see where we're at, and we might keep going. For sure I want to put some in that spot right there where I have that pot, so I'm gonna have to move that pot. And then I also have a, what is that? That little blue hosta right there is called blueberry muffin, so I'm probably gonna have to move that, and I'll put 2 of my hydrangeas in here. You guys might have heard me talk about it before, but a lot of my plants I get on clearance, and I don't necessarily need it at the time, or well, I don't necessarily ever need it, not just at the time. But when I get it, I usually just throw it in my garden somewhere and let it live until I find a spot for it. And so that was the case with this one. I found this blueberry muffin on sale last year in a tiny little 4-inch pot. Just threw it back in here. I think I actually made blueberry muffins. I think I made a movie and I made blueberry muffins and planted this blueberry muffin hosta. It was fun. So I'm gonna move it somewhere, hopefully where it can stay. We'll see. I'm gonna go try to find a spot for it. Geez, I could even split it. into a couple. Let's see. No, we'll just plant it because it is pretty small right now. So plant it in here. This section right here, it gets lots of moisture. So I've tried to plant heuchera in here through the years and they just do not like it at all. A lot of them die off. I've had several heuchera in this spot right here, just hoping, begging for them to survive, and it's just not gonna happen. So we'll go with the hosta because they're just tried and true. And then I don't really need that extra soil that's on my shovel, so I'm gonna go put that in the hole that I just took that hosta out of. After looking at this, I kind of do not like how it looks. I think we need, so I've kind of got that blue color right there with that Jack of Diamonds. Yeah, Jack of Diamonds Brunnera. And it kind of needs a third blue color, if not splitting this into 3. I'm at least going to split it into 2. So I'm going to get back in here, dig it back up. And see if I can split this into 2. Oh yeah. I normally would use my hori for this, but we're just gonna go for it. There we go. Alright, so we'll get all the roots are down. And then, let's see, I could put this rock right there. That might be cool. And then put the other hosta here. This one's a little bit smaller, but that's okay. It will grow. This is about as big as it was last year when I planted it. There. I think that kind of looks a little bit more pleasing to the eye. Like here's a heuchera that is just not doing good at all. This is what I call raccoon alley too. The raccoons come in here and dig up a lot of the heuchera that's in here. The hosta, you know, once it gets established, they don't really hurt that. But, all right, let me stand back and see. Oh yeah, I like that a lot better. That's much more pleasing to the eye to have 3 blue colors, even though it's not 3 of the same plant. It still kind of gives you that effect. I got a big one. I was thinking about putting like a big one here and then just a smaller one right there. And it should fill in. But boy, gardening is like a backwards puzzle. It's like you want to do this one thing, but first you got to do this. But before you do that, you got to move this. It's just this giant backwards puzzle. And I am going to fill this hole with water just to get it off to a good start. This is exactly what I did last year with these, and they did great, so. You guys, I did not bring my hat or a hair tie out here today. Ugh, I might have to go in and get one. The little one I'm gonna plant, it's just super tiny. It's got a lot of nice roots on there. Next year, those two are gonna look like those two. Just put the other three back there for now. Maybe I'll do that since there's a nice big spot. I could do 1, 2, 3. I did find a screwdriver, so I put that in my hair for a hair tie. All right, there's a root in here. Just kind of work around it. That'll do. Whoops. One of my heucheras right here, and oh, there's a giant spider. Yuck. We're just gonna steer clear. But there's a heuchera right there underneath, and then there's another one in there. When these actually pop out in the springtime, they look really nice and full. So I think I'm honestly just going to leave this section of hydrangea as is, and then in the springtime I'm gonna come and dig up these heuchera and put them in a different spot, and then I'll just let this hydrangea do its thing and hang over the edge of this retaining wall, because I kind of actually think it looks pretty. This side of it looks, you know, a little nuts, but it's fine. I am gonna clean this up a little bit, and then as I said, in the springtime I'm just gonna come in here and just hack it. It's quite a bit. Oh, I just pulled out my impatient. Even these impatiens, look how leggy that is. That poor thing was like trying to survive. Gonna go through here and cut off any blooms that I can save and dry. That. And we'll put them off to the side. These hydrangeas are super easy to propagate as well. Like, I could put these in water and create even more, but as you can see, I've got hydrangeas coming out my ears, so I really don't need to do that, as it takes a longer time. I just usually transplant them like I'm doing instead. That looks just fine for me. Alright, well, the air conditioner kicked on, so I'm going to speed this up, continue doing this. We'll meet you back. My eyes could make me this bucket up with some water, and I'm gonna put all these in here. These I'm gonna put in a vase, like on my counter, and then these I'm gonna take downstairs in the basement to dry. Oh, I'm thirsty. It's so muggy out there. I'm gonna grab a vase and get these in it. This vase is pretty tall, but let's see if they'll, I don't know, we might have to do a couple different vases. This one for the taller ones, and then whatever is too short for that we'll put in a smaller vase. On the town and see what you can find, 'cause if you want that kind of love, well, you don't need none of mine. So don't come home and drinking with loving on your mind. The big one I ended up putting right here on this stand, putting the other one right there. And then the other one I ended up putting down in the basement. I'll show you right now. Actually, since we're right here, these hydrangea right here are some of my little lime hydrangeas that I dried years and years ago. So those are really pretty. Hi buddy, what you doing? You wanna come? Come on. Come on, buddy. And then my other ones, I don't want to draw attention to it, but I put them way over in the corner there on top of my piano, and he can't get to those up there. It's like kind of barricaded by a bunch of stuff. But anyway, what you gonna do, bud? You're so cute. You're so fluffy. You're just my good boy. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I did want to say before we get going here, so what I'll do to dry these basically is I'll just leave them in this water, let the hydrangea stems soak up the water, and then if all this water is gone, well, I might change it after like a week or two if it gets gross, but once all this water is gone and the hydrangeas are still not like crunchy to the touch, meaning they're dry, basically, I'll fill it up again with water, and then we will just let that evaporate as well. Uh-oh, what do you see? Oh, he sees a butterfly. You see that butterfly? He's so cute, huh? Yeah. So then if I have to fill it up a second time with water, I'll do that. But if not, by that time, these hydrangeas will probably be dry. And you'll know they're dry because you can kind of feel it and it's crunchy and dry. So anyway, that's literally how you dry them. After that, you can pretty much do whatever you want with them. You can leave them that color, that natural green color. You could spray paint them if you want. I've actually used some, well, last year I spray painted some red and green, and I made an arrangement out of them for Christmas time. So there's lots of different things, crafts you can do. You can do a wreath with them. There's just lots of different great things you can do with the dried hydrangea blooms. So anyway, that's what we will be doing with ours, and we'll see. I might end up putting some out by the road for my neighbors if they look good enough, but we will see. All right, well, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you're just having a wonderful day. Just a wonderful day. I hope that's what you're having. All right, you want to say bye, buddy? Want to say bye? Want to tell him bye? Yeah, tell him bye. All right, we'll see you later. Bye.